and his Dragon Punch beat me or whatever, but if mine came out, I would have beat him. And then that would have changed the momentum of that match that he and I had. And at that time, I probably would have gone on and maybe won the whole tournament. Who knows?
Oh man, do you realize was a scar like Sagat?
Yes. Yes. Yes, I do.
Come on, man.
Yeah, well, I said that after that tournament, after I got to thinking about it, that I would not lose to that guy the next time I played him. And the next time I played him was in Ohio at Seasons Beatings in the international tournament. Not the international, sorry, the USA versus the world. And I played him there, and I just beat him clean and convincingly. So
nice.
I want to play him again.
And you, Combo? Do you have one move or something you think let me see. I think a move you done wrong or something like that.
Yeah, I mean the one that hurt me the most was 1 year. It was I got to the finals of Evolution for CVS2, right? And then I lost to Kendevu from Japan, and then I had to fight Ricky, and then when I fought Ricky in losers, I had to just do one hit into the super, and I was gonna beat him. But then the super didn't come out, and they gave me a drill or something with Cammy, and then he came back and he barely beat me. And then that mistake cost me like $2,000. And then it also cost me a chance to fight Kendevu, because back then everybody knew that Ricky, even though he was godlike in America, he could never beat any Japanese player. If you ever put a Japanese player against Ricky, he couldn't win. But at least I had a chance to beat them. So when I lost to him that time, I was like, oh, there goes, Japan wins again. And then Ricky went to the grand finals and he got his ass kicked. So I mean, it was sad. It was sad on a lot of fronts. And everybody always, Mike Watson. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him out there. Papa Watts. This guy over here. He runs Super Arcade.
Mike Watson.
Yeah, Mike Watson. Every time he sees me, he always talks about that. To this day, it's been like 10 years, and he still talks about it.
Talk about a scar, right?
Yeah, man. And I wanted to heal, but he won't let it.
That's the way the arcade teaches people, right? You just said it.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Oh, sorry. Go on, Pete.
No, that's it.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, speaking about the old times and like you told how you were taught in the arcades, I wanted each of you to name one positive and one negative thing about the fighting game scene from back then and from the way it stands now. Kind of a comparison.
I'll say the positive from back then was, I know Peter will agree with this, is playing in the atmosphere where there's so many people around you. Nobody wants to lose because you got to wait in a long line, at the arcade. Everybody wants to be the best, and that's your only time to do it. The only drawback was, which, it's good for the good players and bad for the bad players. The drawback to playing back then was that there was really no way to get better because there wasn't a lot of information out there. There wasn't YouTube and people making all of these elaborate tutorials outside of like maybe James Chin, Madge, a few other people. But there wasn't as much information then as there is now. It wasn't easy to access. Mm-hmm. Which is why the top players stayed on top and the bottom players never really progressed.
And what about now? What do you...
I think the good thing about the scene now is the fact that, just like what me and Combo are doing with you guys right now, is that we're able to talk to you guys, from across the world, basically, something that would have never happened back in the day. So now a lot of us are pretty much on the same page with a lot of the information out there. I think, again, just really being able to reach out to you guys is like one of the coolest things ever.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that, Mike. And
yeah.
And you, Combo?
Yeah, pretty much. I agree with Mike. Like back then, the good thing was is that it was just so hungry out there. Everybody wanted to win, so
Yeah.
it just felt that you had to be the best all the time. And back then, even though it was kind of stressful, it was still so much fun.
Yeah.
Because even with your friends, your best close friends, you still wanted to beat all of them.
Yeah.
And that's fun. Now everybody, they kind of want to win, but everybody understands who's better, and because they
Yeah.
understand who's better, they accept it. They don't try to challenge.
Yeah.
They don't, they just say, okay, you're better.
Yeah.
Mike Ross, you're gonna win. Combofiend, you're gonna win, and they don't try to fight, as hard.
Yeah.
I would say the bad thing back then was also that everybody was too competitive, and sometimes it felt kind of dangerous. Like maybe
Very
they'll kill you or something if you win. I don't know. It's kind of scary. you know. Also, and I say the bad thing now is that like just that sometimes people aren't competitive. That's all. Like they want to be fans. Like they'll go to Evo and then they just go there to shake your hand and they don't care how they do or something like that. Like sometimes I don't think that's good because we're in fighting games and it's kind of competitive, and sometimes some people, they don't want to play, they just want to be there to take up like room. Do you know what I'm saying?
Probably like what you're saying like is that back in the day probably there wouldn't even be something like a spectator pass to Evo, right?
Right.
Exactly. Everybody there was a player. Now there's some people, like let's say I have a serious conversation with somebody who's learning, right?
Uh-huh.
And then somebody will come up and just say, sign my joystick, and they just interrupt everything, and they're not respectful of the person that I'm talking to or of me. I think that's a bad part. Because,
that's so sad.
like you should be respectful,
Yeah. Um,
Well, since I made this question like to lead into the main subject, which would be Evo, which you guys are attending in some days. But before we talk about this year's Evo, I want you guys to tell me about your first Evo experience. Each of you, how it was.
All right. My first Evo experience. Actually, Peter, you're before me. You went to like B5, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you go ahead first then.
Okay, so my first experience was the tournament was called B5 because it wasn't called Evo yet.
My God,
And
you're OG,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, I'm really old, so
Nah, not a
basically it was, in an arcade, the best players pretty much flew out. It was thrown by Shoryuken.com back when Shoryuken.com was still nothing. And they had a few Japanese people who showed up. And pretty much everyone just played hardcore, and for some odd reason, that tournament, or Shoryuken's tournament, became the main tournament for the year. Like, slowly, every year, it came from that. So that first year, while it was still B5, it was in a crappy location, in a crappy arcade, in a crappy city.
It was raw.
It was
Literally
crazy,
raw.
man. But but at the same time, it was so pure. Everybody there was hardcore. They all wanted to win, So yeah.
It's so authentic.
No minors allowed.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my first Evo experience was, I guess, the year after when they called it Evo. And that was in 2002, I believe. They held it at UCLA. I was just really excited to go there because, I heard all about B5, but I obviously didn't go because my circle of people, they weren't going to travel anywhere. I didn't even know about it when it was going on because fools didn't want to tell me about Shoryuken.com because they didn't want the boy getting better. But, I found it anyways. That's real talk. Shout out to NSJ. Scumbags. But
Oh my God.
but it's okay. At UCLA, I had a goal that year too, and that was to beat a Japanese player. And this, of course, is in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but I know they were making...
For America!
Yeah, I know they were playing the game, and they had some combo videos out. Liquid Metal was making combo videos and all kind of stuff, so I really just wanted to play a Japanese player. And by the luck of the brackets, I had Liquid Metal in my pool. And I had to play him up on the big stage at the time, which is really, not really a stage at all. But I played him, and then I bodied him, and he slammed the arcade machine, and he wouldn't shake my hand. So that made me, really happy. And then I went over to Tom Kennon to report my match, and I was like, I won. And he's like, wait, you won? Good job, sir. He didn't know who the boy was at the time, but he would have known sooner or later.
Okay. Oh, my God. That's the kind of attitude I was waiting for.
Yeah.
So we are Brazilians, and we need to save a lot of money to go to EVO. And why save so much money to go to EVO? It's worth it?
I would say yes. If this is the thing you love, if you love fighting games, you love competing, you love, watching all the players, live in the flesh, and don't want to necessarily be a stream monster for the tournament, then I think, if there is one event you go to, it has to be EVO. And you definitely won't regret it.
I know I don't.
Yeah. So, you were there, so you know.
Yeah. It's funny because I was going this year, Mike. Last year I got on Fanatics pool in Marvel, I got raped.
Oh, no.
This year, it was actually funny because I looked at my pool and there was no one I knew. So, it gives you the hope. But, shorter after that, I took an exam here for a public job and I finally got it. So, work came. Today was actually my first day in the new job.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. You're not going to EVO. Yay! No, I was really frustrated because, I don't know, I think you gave them interviews, the guys from More Than a Game, the British dudes.
Mm-hmm.
They interviewed me as well because, at that time, I actually told you that before the Mortal Kombat match that I wasn't supposed to play. I was doing an essay for my sociology major about the fighting game community. So, it was a really fun interview, and they're airing the movie. They're debuting in this year's EVO, and I'm gonna lose it. So, that sucks.
The guys in the chat, they are asking me to make one question for you guys. Chael Sonnen or Anderson Silva?
The second biggest event in Las Vegas on Saturday.
Yeah, Anderson Silva is going to win that second time around. He's going to win.
Okay, I hope so.
What do you think, Peter?
I don't follow UFC that closely, but
come on.
I know that Silva is pretty much the guy to beat, right? He doesn't lose.
Yeah.
So, I think the odds are in Silva's favor this time. But I think during the last fight, he barely won, right? Didn't he barely beat him?
There were talks about doping, and he was with a fractured rib and all that. But I don't know. It was very hype. Chael Sonnen beat the crap out of Anderson Silva for 4.5 rounds.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and he barely lost because he put him in a chokehold, right?
Yeah. He lost a triangle choke, the bottom line of the 5th round.
For somebody that doesn't follow UFC, you know every detail of that match.
Yeah. I'm really impressed. I'm really, really impressed.
Man, I don't know nothing. I've never seen it. Never heard of it.
Okay. Back to the most important event in Las Vegas on Saturday night, which is EVO. Fuck the UFC, even though I love the UFC. Question for both of you. Especially, I want to hear this from Mike. Which one will be more successful? The United States in Street Fighter or the Japanese in Marvel?